The entire Miami hip-hop scene just exploded into absolute, uncontrollable chaos after Rick Ross launched the most brutal, unforgivable, and terrifying attack on rapper Brisco over a shocking 2009 robbery trial. In an unhinged public broadcast that has left the entire culture paralyzed in disbelief, Ross exposed Brisco for allegedly giving fake, fabricated testimony in federal court, walking into the courtroom like George Jefferson and delivering statements that helped lock away 3 men for a staggering, soul-crushing 90 years in prison. Holding nothing back, the Maybach music group Titan issued a cold-blooded, non-negotiable ultimatum. Brisco must immediately contact the federal prosecutor, confess his lies, and publicly beg for forgiveness from those victims and their devastated families before things get extremely dangerous on the streets of Miami. With violent threats flying, street security details going on code red alert, and Brisco's reputation completely shattered beyond repair, stay tuned until the absolute end of this video, because the leaked legal documents, emergency street messages, and incoming industry fallout prove this war has just become deadly serious. To fully comprehend why Rick Ross's terrifying demand is sending nuclear shockwaves across Florida and corporate boardrooms alike, you have to rewind to a notorious, high-stakes 2009 incident that permanently scarred Miami hip-hop history. Back in 2009, Florida rapper Brisco, who was riding high on major cosigns from Cash Money, Po' Boy Entertainment, and massive industry momentum, was targeted in a ruthless, violent barbershop ambush in Miami. The incident sent shockwaves through the culture as tens of thousands of dollars worth of luxury jewelry, custom chains, cash, and his luxury Range Rover were stripped from him at gunpoint. The fallout from that terrifying day led to major federal and state arrests, intense local press coverage, and a legal saga that dragged on for years in court. For over a decade, dark rumors quietly circulated throughout Florida regarding how the prosecution built its ironclad case and how the trial concluded with 3 men receiving massive, life-altering prison sentences totaling 90 years behind bars. While corporate news outlets assumed the legal book was permanently closed, deep-rooted street politics in Miami never forgot what transpired inside that courtroom. In hip-hop culture, especially within the street-rooted, high-stakes Miami rap scene, taking the witness stand, identifying suspects, or giving inconsistent statements that put men behind bars for life is considered the ultimate, unforgivable sin. Enter Rick Ross, the undisputed biggest boss of Miami hip-hop. Ross has spent 2 decades building an untouchable empire, navigating high-stakes industry politics, maintaining a dominant presence, and upholding an uncompromising code within his city. When long-buried court details and old transcript excerpts resurfaced in private executive group chats, Ross didn't just look the other way. Seeing 3 men rotting in federal prison for 90 years based on what he believes was exaggerated, fabricated testimony, Ross decided it was time to step in as the ultimate cultural judge and jury. Ross saw an opportunity to expose what he views as a massive moral betrayal, setting off an explosive, unstoppable chain reaction that threatens to tear the entire Miami music industry to shredded pieces. The detonation occurred late last night during an unannounced, emergency live video broadcast streamed directly from Rick Ross's sprawling, gated compound in Star Island, Miami. The scene was framed with chilling, cinematic precision. Dim lighting cast harsh shadows across the room as Rick Ross appeared on camera, flanked by 3 towering members of his heavy private security detail. Ross wore his signature oversized dark sunglasses, his diamond-encrusted chain glinting under the studio lights, holding a lit cigar between his fingers. The air in the room was thick with absolute, suffocating tension. Bypassing his usual subtle internet humor or indirect subliminals, Ross leaned directly into the camera lens, his deep, baritone voice echoing through the speakers with a terrifying, cold-blooded intensity that instantly froze over 200,000 live viewers in place. "You done crossed a line in the city that you can't ever walk back, Brisco. You went inside that federal courtroom in 2009, strutting and walking in front of the judge like you was George Jefferson himself. You were acting all proud, showing off for the cameras, and pointing fingers while giving that fake, fabricated testimony. You put 3 young black men away for 90 years, man." 90 whole years behind bars. They are rotting in a federal cell because you lied to cover your own tracks. I'm calling you out right now in front of the whole world. You need to pick up the phone, call that prosecutor, confess that you lied on the stand, fix your grave mistake, and publicly apologize to those victims and their crying families before Miami turns into something you can't run from. The visual imagery of Ross mocking Brisco's courtroom walk, comparing his swagger on the witness stand to George Jefferson, while laying the blame for a 90-year prison sentence directly on his shoulders sent shockwaves through social media. The sheer emotional weight of three men serving what amounts to a life sentence turned a localized rap feud into a high-stakes, terrifying battle over human lives, street morality, and structural justice. Ross didn't stop there. Leaning even closer into the lens, his voice dropped into a low, raspy growl as he tore apart Brisco's entire standing in the city, alleging that Brisco had spent years hiding behind his victim status, while silent families suffered in grief. Ross held up a stack of printed papers, waving them aggressively at the camera as he declared that the streets of Miami would no longer honor or protect anyone who trades human freedom for personal immunity. The video spread like wildfire across X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube within seconds of ending. Live stream clips were instantly ripped, re-uploaded, and dissected by thousands of commentary channels. The entire hip-hop community was plunged into an absolute state of speculative panic, with fans genuinely terrified that the deep-rooted street politics of Miami were about to spill over into immediate, physical violence. Then came the first shocking twist that transformed this explosive public call-out into an active, high-stakes legal crisis. Within less than 2 hours of Ross's video breaking the internet, leaked court transcript excerpts and sealed legal summaries from the 2009 trial began circulating across private Telegram channels and viral music blogs. The leaked documents appeared to expose major, glaring contradictions between the initial police statements made immediately after the 2009 barbershop robbery and the formal testimony delivered on the witness stand during the federal trial. The transcripts hinted that key elements of the prosecution's timeline, specifically regarding the identification of the primary suspects, may have been heavily altered, wildly exaggerated, or completely manufactured to secure convictions. Seeing hard, written proof that the original trial relied on wildly questionable witness testimony created an instant firestorm. Fake Twitter threads and verified legal commentary accounts erupted simultaneously. Social media users began sharing side-by-side screenshots of the leaked court transcripts alongside clips of Ross's video, causing hashtags like #RickRossExposesBrisco, #JusticeForThe90Years, and #MiamiCourtroomScandal to surge to the absolute top of global trending charts. The emotional fallout was immediate and chaotic. Leaked text messages allegedly sent between prominent Florida music executives and local community organizers revealed frantic discussions over the legal implications of the leak. One top-level manager wrote in a panicked text message, "If those transcript pages are authentic, the state has a massive problem." Ross didn't just start a rap beef. He just gave the defense lawyers the exact ammunition they need to file a post-conviction relief motion. Meanwhile, Rick Ross doubled down on the pressure, posting a series of dark, black and white photos of empty courtrooms accompanied by silent, ominous captions. 90 years is a long time to think about a lie. Fix it or the city fixes it for you. What started as an online confrontation had officially spiraled into a multi-front crisis involving federal trial records, street ultimatums, and leaked legal documents. Brisco's entire reputation was hanging by a single thread, and the entire world was watching, waiting to see how he would respond to being publicly cornered by the biggest boss in Miami. As social media blew up with furious reactions, Brisco found himself backed into the most dangerous, terrifying corner of his entire career. Street figures, local artists, and enraged fans began demanding immediate answers, completely swarming Brisco's social media accounts with aggressive demands for him to address Ross's ultimatum. The pressure was so severe that local Miami venues, studio facilities, and regional radio platforms reportedly began cutting ties with Brisco, desperately trying to avoid getting caught in the middle of a war involving Rick Ross's massive apparatus. Instead of hiding in silence, Brisco released a heated, wildly defensive response video recorded from his car, claiming his original testimony was accurate and accusing Rick Ross of clout chasing and dragging up ancient history just to stay relevant in the algorithm. Brisco's voice shook with visible agitation as he looked into his phone camera, shouting over his vehicle's dashboard. Rick Ross is a hypocrite. He's sitting in his multi-million-dollar Star Island mansion playing judge and jury over a federal case he wasn't even there for. I was the one who got ambushed at gunpoint in 2009. I was the victim. I didn't write the laws, and I didn't pass the 90-year sentence. The judge and jury did. Ross is just using my name to generate headlines because his own new music ain't moving like that no more. Don't come talking to me about street codes when you wasn't in that barbershop when guns were drawn. The response video spread rapidly, but Brisco's attempts to frame himself as the innocent victim did little to quell the raging firestorm. Instead of sympathy, his rant ignited even harsher backlash from West Coast, East Coast, and Southern hip-hop commentators, who argued that being a victim of a robbery does not give anyone the right to allegedly deliver fabricated statements that strip three men of 90 years of their lives. Then came the second, explosive reveal that completely shifted the entire trajectory of the story and elevated it into a national legal scandal. A well-known, high-profile civil rights organization specializing in wrongful convictions and sentence reductions officially caught wind of Ross's viral stream and the leaked court transcripts. In an emergency press release posted to their official channels, lead civil rights attorneys and federal defense experts announced that they had officially opened a formal investigation into the 2009 trial dockets. They revealed that a team of top-tier appellate lawyers is currently reviewing the trial transcripts to determine if there are sufficient legal grounds to file an emergency motion for a new trial or a post-conviction relief petition based on claims of recanted or false testimony. What started as Rick Ross airing out Miami laundry on camera suddenly transformed into an active, historic legal battle that could potentially break three men out of federal prison after nearly 2 decades of incarceration. The revelation that Ross's call-out had directly triggered actual legal action sent shockwaves through executive boardrooms and legal circles across Florida. Fake Twitter threads exploded with legal analysts dissecting the likelihood of a successful appeal. Major media platforms began running dedicated commentary segments, evaluating whether Rick Ross's viral video could go down in history as the single most influential social media call-out in music history. However, behind the scenes of this legal victory, street-level tensions in Miami escalated to a catastrophic code red emergency. Insiders reported that security details for both camps were doubled across South Florida. High-level venue organizers in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach began quietly canceling upcoming events where associates of either artist were scheduled to appear, fearing that the bitter animosity over a 2009 trial could explode into physical altercations on the streets. Brisco was now facing an unprecedented, multi-front nightmare. His reputation in the culture was completely destroyed, his local industry support had evaporated overnight, and he was now standing in the crosshairs of both Rick Ross's massive platform and a high-powered legal team determined to pick apart his 2009 testimony under a microscope. The explosion from Rick Ross demanding that Brisco apologize to the families of the incarcerated men completely severed the Florida hip-hop community into hostile, warring camps. By the next afternoon, social media platforms like X, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok were inundated with millions of posts, emergency stream breakdowns, and heated arguments from fans, industry figures, and legal commentators. On one side of the digital divide stood an aggressive wave of hip-hop purists, street commentators, and fans who praised Rick Ross as a righteous voice holding people accountable for what they viewed as a tragic miscarriage of justice. For this camp, Ross's willingness to risk industry alliances to speak out on behalf of three men serving 90-year sentences was seen as an heroic act of cultural leadership. At 305_Street_Veritas, Rick Ross did what nobody else in Florida had the balls to do. 90 years behind bars for a robbery, where the witness testimony had major contradictions? If Brisco exaggerated on that stand to get revenge, he needs to face the music and call the DA. You don't play with men's lives like that. At hiphopethics_official. This goes way beyond a rap feud. Ross used his platform to shine a spotlight on a federal trial that ruined 3 families. If those leaked transcripts are real, Briscoe's testimony destroyed lives. Ross is 100% right to demand an apology. At Dade County_insider, Ross walked into the fire for those families. People can call it dramatic all they want, but 3 men are rotting in federal prison right now. If a public call-out is what it takes to get an appellate court to look at the case, then salute to the biggest boss. On the opposing side, a passionate group of defenders, legal skeptics, and vocal critics rushed to back Briscoe, accusing Rick Ross of extreme hypocrisy, clout chasing, and weaponizing a traumatic 2009 crime for internet views. This faction pointed out that Briscoe was the primary victim of a violent, armed robbery where $40,000 in personal jewelry and property were taken at gunpoint, arguing that it is entirely unfair to blame the victim of a crime for the heavy sentences handed down by a federal judge and jury. At justiceforvictims_2026, are people seriously ignoring the fact that Briscoe was ambushed and held at gunpoint in 2009? He was the victim. Ross sitting in a multi-million-dollar estate playing street judge over a case he wasn't involved in is pure hypocrisy. Blaming the victim for a judge's sentence is totally out of line. At realtalk_hiphop_305, Rick Ross is calling out somebody for court testimony? Is everybody forgetting Ross's own past? He's bringing up 17-year-old history just because his new music isn't trending. Briscoe was robbed, testified to what he saw, and now he's getting harassed by Ross's fans. At Florida Legal Watch, a witness testifying in a criminal trial isn't fake just because Rick Ross says so on Instagram. The jury weighed the evidence and found the defendants guilty. Ross is inciting a dangerous situation over a settled court case. The controversy quickly spread into mainstream entertainment media and radio networks. On major urban radio stations across Miami, Atlanta, and New York, morning show hosts held live call-in segments that devolved into yelling matches between listeners. Prominent podcasters devoted multi-hour streams to analyzing the 2009 trial dockets, reading line by line through the leaked transcripts to debate whether Briscoe's visual identification of the suspects was legally sound or wildly inconsistent. Behind the scenes, the pressure on Florida's music ecosystem reached a critical breaking point. Event promoters in Miami and Fort Lauderdale quietly began canceling club appearances, podcast bookings, and radio pull-ups involving both artists, fearing that unpredictable street altercations could erupt between rival security teams. Meanwhile, legal advocacy groups reported receiving thousands of emails and calls from viewers demanding a full judicial review of the 2009 trial, proving that Ross's viral video had crossed from digital entertainment into an active, high-stakes public crusade. The culture was completely split, the streets were on edge, and every single person in Miami was waiting to see who would make the next move in this dangerous, escalating war. Just when the world believed the situation couldn't possibly get any more explosive or unpredictable, a final, mind-blowing twist emerged from behind closed doors late last night, threatening to shatter the entire Miami legal ecosystem wide open. At 11:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a shocking set of leaked wiretap audio recordings and private phone calls surfaced across encrypted Telegram channels, allegedly catching high-level associates tied to the original 2009 prosecution team in a state of absolute panic. The leaked audio clips revealed that following Rick Ross's viral broadcast, at least 2 key prosecution witnesses from the original trial have officially retained private criminal defense attorneys. The frantic conversations indicate that these original witnesses are now actively preparing to sign sworn legal affidavits to recant their 2009 courtroom statements, alleging off-camera pressure and claiming they were pushed to exaggerate key identification details on the stand. Read that again. Rick Ross's explosive George Jefferson rant didn't just spark a massive online hip-hop debate. It triggered an immediate domino effect that is now forcing original witnesses to come forward under oath to unravel a 90-year federal prison sentence. If these sworn recantations hit the court docket, Briscoe won't just be facing intense social media backlash. He could be formally subpoenaed by federal judges to testify in a high-stakes, emergency evidentiary hearing. The ultimate nightmare scenario is unfolding. Briscoe could be forced to stand on the witness stand once again, cornered between confessing to false statements under penalty of perjury or facing a devastating federal perjury investigation himself. Simultaneously, rumors are swirling through South Florida that Rick Ross's Maybach Music Group legal division is preparing to officially sponsor a multi-million-dollar defense fund to back the incarcerated men's formal appeal, setting up an unprecedented, direct courtroom battle against the state attorney's office. Brisco's camp has reportedly gone completely dark on social media as private security details guard his residence, while Rick Ross continues to post ominous countdown timers on his stories, hinting that his team possesses even more unreleased court records. Will Brisco break under the unbearable pressure, call the prosecutors, and beg those families for forgiveness? Or will he stick to his story and risk a catastrophic perjury war in federal court? Will Rick Ross's relentless crusade actually tear open those prison gates after 17 agonizing years? The battle lines are drawn. The entire city of Miami is on edge, and the next 24 hours will change hip-hop and legal history forever. This has been without a doubt the most intense, explosive, and deeply personal hip-hop stories we have ever covered on this channel. Now, I want to hear directly from you, the realest, most informed community on YouTube. Was Rick Ross completely right for stepping up and publicly calling out Brisco over that 2009 trial, or should he have stayed out of ancient street politics? Do you think Brisco should man up, contact the federal prosecutor, and issue a public apology to those victims and their families? Do you believe this massive, viral pressure will actually lead to an emergency appeal and break those 3 men out of prison after 17 long years? Drop your honest thoughts, wildest theories, and predictions in the comments section down below right now. I am going to be down in the comment section replying to the best and most intense responses all day long. If your mind was completely blown by this emergency breakdown, smash that like button immediately. It helps the algorithm push this update to hip-hop fans all across the globe. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell right now. We are tracking this high-stakes war live as it unfolds, and the second those witness recantations hit the court docket, or the moment Brisco breaks his silence, we will be dropping an exclusive, emergency follow-up video that you cannot afford to miss.